Okay, so Shivangla, you have to switch your video on. We are on chapter 2, page 31 of the book, the Four Agreements. The chapter name is The First Agreement.
Just give me 1 second.
Shivangla, what happened?
I thought, yeah. Now, this is chapter 1. No, I don't know the chapter, sorry. This
It's
is page
chapter
36.
2. It is
Page 36 of the PDF. Huh? Yeah.
तो पीडीएफ में कहीं पेज लिखा नहीं दिख रहा है मुझे।
ऊपर में लिखा रहता है भाभी, ऊपर में पीडीएफ में
ये
लिखा
देखिए
हुआ है।
36 by 90 लिखा हुआ है ना, तो 90 पेजेस का बुक है, 36 पे है अपने।
दिख गया, थैंक्स।
Okay. Now let us see what the word impeccability means. Impeccability means without sin. Impeccable comes from the Latin peccatus, which means sin. And impeccable means without. So impeccable means without sin. Religions talk about sins and sinners, but let's understand what it really means to sin. A sin is anything that you do which goes against yourself. Everything you feel or believe or say that goes against yourself is a sin. You go against yourself when you judge or blame yourself for anything. Being without sin is exactly the opposite. Being impeccable is not going against yourself. When you are impeccable, you take responsibility for your actions, but you do not judge or blame yourself.
So this is very, very interesting. So who is our biggest critic? Our biggest critic is ourselves. We are our own biggest critics. Okay. Now we are constantly judging ourselves. Now, as soon as you judge yourself, you're going into the guilt game. You're going into the left side of the grid. And whenever you're in the left side of the grid, you cannot be in the now. So you're shifting yourself from the now. The blame game starts. And if you take responsibility for your action, you learn from your action and then grow ahead, then there is no question of any blame game. Okay. So the idea here is very clear. You are impeccable when you take responsibility for all your actions. You do not regret your actions, but you learn from your actions.
From this point of view, the whole concept of sin changes from something.
Oh, I have a question. Can I ask, Nikki?
Yeah.
So impeccable, okay, agreed. But sometimes it happens that you are going to falter, right? You're not going to be to that word. So how do you deal with that then?
So that's the point, right? You take responsibility for your action at that point in time. And you learn from that incident, that issue, that situation, that action that you took. And then you learn from it and then progress forward rather than blaming yourself for that action.
Okay.
So you've taken the action, but you're not playing the blame game.
Right.
Now, if you are taking an action and there is guilt attached with that action, so whenever you do something clandestinely, if you do something and you want to hide it from people, that means there is guilt attached.
Yes,
so you're not being impeccable. You're not being impeccable. Because if you are impeccable, then any action you'll take wholeheartedly with full visibility. You're not going to hide it from anyone.
Right. Correct.
You understand? That's impeccability.
I got it.
In the world's eye, that action may be bad. But if you are true to yourself, then there is no guilt attached to it.
Yeah, got it.
So when there is no guilt attached, there is no emotion attached, there is no karma attached.
Okay.
You're taking the action just for the action.
Yeah, got it.
And then you're constantly learning from your actions.
From this point of view, the whole concept of sin changes from something moral or religious to something common sense. Sin begins with rejection of yourself. Self-rejection is the biggest sin that you can commit. In religious terms, self-rejection is a mortal sin, which leads to death. Impeccability, on the other hand, leads to life.
So now if you look at this again, what is it saying? That mostly when you're talking of sin, you're talking from the basis of morality or a belief system or some concept from religion. But when you're impeccable, it doesn't mean from the religious point of view. It means your internal state of being. Where are you operating from and what is the state of consciousness that you're operating from? That is what becomes very, very important. If you're not being impeccable, then you're not being true to yourself. And whenever you're not true to yourself, what happens? You're thinking ulta, right? And then again, we go to Dr. Isaru Emoto's water crystals. If you're not being true to yourself, then it will create a falsity. So it will affect the water in your body, and that automatically will create ill health. If someone is always constantly operating out of guilt, then it will create ill health. It will put them on the left side of the grid. And then ultimately it will lead to death while you will not be healthy. Okay, so ultimately it will lead to death.
Being impeccable with your word is not using the word against yourself. If I see you in the street and I call you stupid, it appears that I'm using the word against you. But really, I'm using my word against myself because you're going to hate me for this. And your hating me is not good enough for me. Therefore, if I get angry and with my words send all that emotional poison to you, I'm using the word against myself.
So what will you say or do is something that you have. Okay, now you will give out only what that you have in yourself, number one. Number two, whenever I am giving out something which is depleting, the universe will send back to me that depleting effect. So if I am, and then when we go into the concept of wholeness, where everything is one, then how can, if I am going to curse you, it means I'm cursing myself. Okay, so it will come back to me. So if I'm going to hate you, I'm hating myself. Why? Because the hate is a thought in my head, and that thought is going to affect me in any case. And plus, when I'm saying I hate you, you are also going to have adverse feelings against me, which will again send back depleting energy to me. It also comes in from the Celestine prophecy. When we see the control dramas, this is the same thing which is happening. We need to give energy to each other to grow, not to attempt to grab energy from the other person.
Niket, can I share something?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. See, one of the meditations, so I got this image that when we are talking to a person, okay,
Yeah,
so there's a kind of infinity sign, from between us.
correct.
So, so this whole thing keeps coming, from us to them and then from them to us.
Correct.
It's like an infinity sign. So so if we are going to hate them, then it's going to come back to us. It's like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely there. So
Yeah.
even in biofield tuning, when we are doing the closing up, again the infinity sign comes in, where we are creating a field around the person so that the energy starts to circulate. And this is what is happening in reality also. Let us say we want to do a relationship session in biofield tuning between two people, and it's absolutely possible, where you can clear the field between the two people and improve the relationship. Okay, in that case also we do the infinity sign in the on top of the heads of both the participants, so that the energy gets circulating. Now whenever we are communicating with anyone, that infinity sign automatically gets created. So whatever you are giving out, you will get back. So we have to be very conscious of what we are giving out. Absolutely right. That's wonderfully said, Sudha.
If I love myself, I will express that love in my interactions with you. And then I am being impeccable with the word, because that action will produce a like reaction.
So now what is it over here? Now, if suppose you're just walking around, right? You smile at a person. what's going to happen? Instinctively, that guy or that other person is going to smile back at you. And I see this all the time. Whenever I'm traveling, I keep smiling at everyone. And let me tell you, 9 out of 10 times, the person will smile back. Now, if you're going to get angry at someone, what are you going to get back? You're going to get anger back. So every action will produce a reaction.
If I love you, then you will love me. If I insult you, you will insult me. If I have gratitude for you, you will have gratitude for me. If I'm selfish with you, you will be selfish with me. If I use the word to put a spell on you, you are going to put a spell on me. Being impeccable with your word is the correct use of your energy. It means to use your energy in the direction of truth and love for yourself. If you make an agreement with yourself to be impeccable with your word, just with that intention, the truth will manifest through you and clean all the emotional poison that exists within you. But making this agreement is difficult because we have learned to do precisely the opposite. We have learned to lie as a habit of our communication with others, and more importantly, with ourselves. We are not impeccable with the word.
So the word has power. Okay. This is again seen with Dr. Emoto's experiments where beakers were taken or test tubes of water were taken and the word was attached, love was attached. And we got crystals according to the word which was attached. Okay. So now what happens? What we are thinking again, how much of truth is there in the word? Now, when I say something false, it is absolutely given that to cover up one lie, we'll have to keep perpetuating many lies. But if you're saying the truth, then it's the truth. There's nothing else to it, right? You don't have to remember why, because it's the truth. So the more truthful we can become with our word, the better it is for us. Then we don't have to perpetuate the lie.
Nikiti, one more question.
Yeah.
So the word here is impeccable really means being transparent with yourself, right? Because that's not the meaning in the English language. It means
Correct.
like with high standards or fault. I
But
mean,
then again, that high standard is there, right? You have to
yes.
have a high standard for your word. If
Okay.
I say something, I will keep my word.
Yeah.
We used to have a saying, Jawan ka कीमत hai.
Yes.
If I've given my word, then I will stand by my word. Whether I make a loss or a profit, it doesn't matter. Because I have said it, I will stand by it.
Okay.
Understand? When I'm
Yes.
saying something, it is the truth. If it is the truth, then it is the truth. In my perception, it is the truth. Now I'm being true to myself. But if I know something is false and I'm still saying it, then am I impeccable? Am I saying the truth? Am I maintaining my truth? I'm not.
Yeah.
So then it will
Correct.
create a problem for you.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
So, so then first agreement is be impeccable with your word.
Correct, exactly. So you have to say the truth. And then you have to take responsibility for saying it and being it. If you're not taking responsibility, then again it's a problem, right? If you're taking responsibility for your word, then you will say the correct word. You're not going to mince your words. You're not going to go round and round around the bushes. You may temper it in a nice way, but you will still be true to your word.
वो कहते हैं ना कभी कभी एकदम ऐसे निकल जाता है, you know, you're not wanting to say but it comes out. Are you responsible for that also?
Absolutely. Who else is responsible? Again, it's a matter of practice, auntie. The more you practice a state of consciousness and what you are, that is what is going to reflect outside also. And वो जो small incidents होते हैं ना जिसमें we lose our cool, that is showing a deeper part of ourselves. So when we start becoming aware and conscious of that part, that is when we can transcend it. If you are not aware of something, how are you going to transcend it? So acceptance becomes a huge part of this entire game. Okay. Now, if I'm saying something which is untruth and I'm not accepting it's the untruth, Now, I may actually believe it is the truth, then that's a separate issue altogether. But if I know it's not the truth and I'm still saying it as the truth, then I'm not being impeccable.
Can I share something here?
Yeah, please.
Yesterday I was speaking with somebody, Dr. Devanshi only.
Yeah.
And जैसे हम लोग हमेशा ऐसे ही बोलते हैं ना कि नहीं सब ठीक हो जाएगा.
Correct.
सब जो भी है, we all have that habit. We've grown up saying the phrase. Immediately she stopped me and she said, no, that means you are saying abhi ठीक नहीं है.
Correct.
You are future में क्या है क्या नहीं है, forget that. You are like, we've read the power of now.
Yeah.
She says you have to say abhi sab theek hai, and
Correct.
this is how, you know, it will become better, whatever.
Exactly. So present tense. So whenever we are doing any patterning exercise, it is always present tense.
It's also like saying, "Now I want to be happy." That means that you're not happy right now.
Exactly.
So
what
that's
is the
yeah.
implication behind it? So whenever we are planning, we are projecting, we must feel it is happening right now. Again, when we look at quantum theory, or we look at continuity of time and space is our construct. So everything is happening now. So in your mind, if it is happening now, that things are happening. So whenever we are planning and visualizing, it has to be in the present moment. We cannot look at the future. Great, thank you.
The power of the word is completely misused in hell. We use the word to curse, to blame, to find guilt, to destroy. Of course, we also use it in the right way, but not too often. Mostly, we use the word to spread our personal poison, to express anger, jealousy, envy, and hate. The word is pure magic, the most powerful gift we have as humans, and we use it against ourselves. We plan revenge. We create chaos with the word. We use the word to create hate between different races, between different people, between families, between nations. We misuse the word so often, and this misuse is how we create and perpetuate the dream of hell. Misuse of the word is how we pull each other down and keep each other in a state of fear and doubt. Because the word is the magic that humans possess, and misuse of the word is black magic. We are using black magic all the time without knowing that our word is magic at all.
So whenever we utter something, okay, we are creating something. So our word has power. Now, how you're using the word becomes extremely important. So again, we come back to the state where which side of the grid are you operating on? What is the state of consciousness that you're operating from?
Bhaiya, it is if you appreciate,
Yes.
if you're not saying, if you're appreciative of a person also, still it is a problem, is it?
So what state of consciousness are you appreciating from? Are you appreciating from a state of consciousness where you're jealous, actually internally jealous of that person, and you're just doing an appreciation? Or are you actually appreciating the person? So all those factors will start coming in.
Okay.
Actually, Niket, even in Gita, they say na, the intent is very important.
Exactly. So that is what
So it is, yeah, exactly.
intent.
Yeah.
Where are you coming from? That's what I'm saying. Are you on the left side of the grid, or are you in the right side of the grid? If you are jealous, you're on the left side of the grid. If you're feeling envy, you're on the left side of the grid. If you are genuinely appreciating, you're on the right side of the grid. So where are you? What state of consciousness are you in becomes extremely important.
So even false appreciation will come under this only, that
Absolutely.
you're being
If
untrue.
you're actually feeling inside you something and you're saying something else, then are you saying the truth?
So you should keep quiet.
It's better to, in my view, it is better to keep quiet or find something within that state or within that incident, within that thing that you actually do appreciate. So false appreciation is not a good thing according to me, because internally though you know now what is happening. How can you hide that from yourself? It is impossible.
Ankit has a question.
Yes, Ankit.
Niketa uncle.
Yeah.
I was saying that just going back a bit, someone said that you can't say I want to be happy because that means you're not happy right now.
Correct.
So like if you imagine yourself when you're saying this, I want to be happy, and you think about your past, present, and future simultaneously, does that also get impacted, or do you have to remove the word want?
I am happy. Make it
That's a better way of saying it.
Yeah, make it present tense, no?
Okay. Even if you want more happiness, for example.
I am happy. That's all.
Okay.
So present tense, not future tense. I was happy. Okay. I was happy means now you're not happy. I want to be happy. Again, I'm not happy. I am happy means I'm happy.
Okay. Even if in future you want more, that doesn't matter. You have to say I am.
I have what you have to say. I have abundance. I have everything that I actually need for my growth.
Okay.
All these words, we have to become very conscious in the way we are speaking. Speak unconsciously.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to become conscious of our. Conscious means what? Become aware. Notice how we are speaking.
Okay.
Ankit has something to say?
No.
Okay.
No, it's okay. Yeah,
it's
ask.
okay. No, it's okay.
Okay.
There was a woman, for example, who was intelligent and had a very good heart. She had a daughter whom she adored and loved very much. One night, she came home from a very bad day at work, tired, full of emotional tension, and with a terrible headache. She wanted peace and quiet, but her daughter was singing and jumping happily. The daughter was unaware of how her mother was feeling. She was in her own world, in her own dream. She felt so wonderful, and she was jumping and singing louder and louder, expressing her joy and her love. She was singing so loud that it made her mother's headache even worse. And at a certain moment, the mother lost control. Angrily, she looked at her beautiful little girl and said, "Shut up. You have an ugly voice. Can you just shut up?"
Okay, so now what happened? The mother was stressed out and she could not handle her stress. Now, there's a lovely story about this. I'm sure all of you must have read it. This guy was having a very, very bad time in the office one day, and he came home with his friend. Now, as he was coming home, he stopped near a tree, he touched the tree, and as soon as he touched the tree, he let go of all his tension that he was carrying back from his office, and then he walked into his house in a jovial manner. Okay, so that is one way of handling the stress. Now, what is happening with the mother is a classic case of an amygdala hijack, where you lose control. It's that emotion or that self-preservation principle that starts to click in with an amygdala hijack, and then you start reacting. When you react, you have no control over what you are doing or saying, because a lot of it is dependent on your past actions and reactions that you've had previously, and you're just using that as a template of creating whatever you're creating. Okay, so actually she didn't want to shout at her child, but because of that headache, it went into a reaction. Mangla.
The truth is that the mother's tolerance for any noise was non-existent. It was not that the little girl's voice was ugly, but the daughter believed what her mother said, and in that moment she made an agreement with herself. After that, she no longer sang because she believed her voice was ugly and would bother anyone who heard it. She became shy at school, and if she was asked to sing, she refused. Even speaking to others became difficult for her. Everything changed in this little girl because of this new agreement. She believed she must repress her emotions in order to be accepted and loved.
So what parents say to children really carry a lot of weight. Okay, why? Because at that age, anything that the parent says is like gospel to the child. As soon as the mother said you have an ugly voice, now that became a part of a belief system. And most of us always are operating from belief systems. You may keep expanding your belief system to encompass more and more, but till we are in this physical body, we are under restriction. Okay. Now she made an agreement. So what are the belief system? The agreements that you've made with yourself, the agreements that your parents have made you make with yourself and with society. So she made an agreement here where now it became difficult for her to communicate.
Whenever we hear an opinion and believe it, we make an agreement and it becomes a part of our belief system. This little girl grew up, and even though she had a beautiful voice, she never sang again. She developed a whole complex from one spell. This spell was cast upon her by the one who loved her the most, her own mother. Her mother didn't notice what she did with her word. She didn't notice that she used black magic and put a spell on her daughter. She didn't know the power of a word, and therefore she isn't to blame. She did what her own mother, father, and others had done to her in many ways. They misused the word.
So again, what has happened? Naturally, she didn't want to put a curse on her child. But then, because we've been not taught to be aware of what we are saying, we've not been taught to actually compose our thoughts in the proper way. These are some things which need to be taught from a very, very young age. And because we are not taught, we don't understand and realize what we have done. जो अपने बोलते हैं नजर लग गया, it is actually a fact, let me tell you, and we have aura photos to prove it. And this actually happens. It can create blocks. So also when we are doing biofield tuning, things like this will also come up, where the block was created by something that your parents said or you had a fight with someone. When we clear it, suddenly things start to open up. There was one case where this person had a real big problem in cleaning and keeping a place tidy. And this is one of the stories that one of the trainers tell, other trainers. And when they cleared that line in the biofield, immediately she went home and she really went into cleaning spree. And since that day, she's kept her space impeccably clean. So there must have been some kind of incident when she was growing up, which resulted in her becoming messy. And when that block was cleared off, everything suddenly changed for that person.
How many times do we do this with our own children? We give them these types of opinions, and our children carry that black magic for years and years. People who love us do black magic on us, but they don't know what they do. That is why we must forgive them. They don't know what they do.
So again, first is that we need to start understanding what we are doing. We need to start taking responsibility for what is happening within us. And then we must be observant of what is happening around us also. And if possible, make rectifications or corrections in the way that others around us are also making those comments or those speeches which are there, so that we can create harmony totally all around us. Okay.
Another example, you awake in the morning feeling very happy. You feel so wonderful, you stay 1 or 2 hours in front of the mirror, making yourself beautiful. Well, one of your best friends says, "What has happened to you? You look so ugly. Look at the dress you're wearing. You look ridiculous." That's it. That is enough to put you all the way down in hell. Maybe this girlfriend just told you this to hurt you. And she did. She gave you an opinion with all the power of a word behind it. If you accept the opinion, it becomes an agreement now, and you put all your power into that opinion. That opinion becomes black magic.
So this is very important here. If you accept the opinion, it becomes an agreement. So if someone says something to you, you always have the option to accept it or reject it. Now, if you accept it, then it can create issues for you. Now, whether it is a praise or a depleting statement, both can work against you. Okay, it can make you arrogant. Like people who are saying, everyone is saying about you, everyone is saying about you. But believe me when I tell you this, it's like water on a duck's back, because I am very clear in what I have to do. So it really doesn't matter to me what anyone is really saying. Now, if you can hold that kind of a strategy, then it is okay. But most of the time we get affected by what others are saying and doing with us. So then we are not operating from our truth. We are operating from their truth. You understand? So the idea here is very clear, that we need to start operating from our truth. We need to be impeccable with ourselves. We need to be true with ourselves. Then whatever the other person may be saying does not affect us anymore.
Looking at everyday human interactions, imagine how many times, these types of spells are difficult to break. The only thing that can break a spell is to make a new agreement based on truth. The truth is the most important part of being impeccable with your word. On one side of the sword are the lies which create black magic, and on the other side of the sword is the truth, which has the power to break the spell of black magic. Only the truth will set us free.
So what does this mean? Okay, now whenever you are lying, you're on the left side of the grid. And whenever you are saying the truth, you're being the truth, you will always be on the right side of the grid. So just by using that one tool of where are you operating from can immediately start making you consciously aware of where you are, and you can create the shift. Why? Because you are becoming aware. So what I say is that to solve any issue, there are 5 aspects. The first is you need to be aware. The second is you need to accept. The third is you need to find a solution to the problem. Fourth, you implement the problem. Fifth, you observe whether the solution is being made or not. So now every time we are saying something, we can apply these same 5 tenets, see from where are we operating and what is the strategy that we need to use. Like Prachi was asking just now, what if I say that I want to be happy? Okay, vis-a-vis I am happy. So the moment you put a strategy in place and it actually starts working for you, you can immediately start making things manifest.
What about the truth? If said, it may hurt somebody else. What about that truth?
So that is the point. The way you say the truth can also mean a lot of things. Okay. Now I can tell you very harshly something, and the same thing I can tell you with gentleness. So the way that you are communicating, becoming aware of that becomes extremely important.
Okay.
So how are you saying the truth? You can say the worst possible thing to a person, but you say it in such a way that it doesn't hurt the person and it actually uplifts the person, putting that person into the right track. Or you can say it in a hurtful way also. Here, tone of the voice matters a lot.
Okay.
The way you are projecting it.
Okay.
So
Thank
tone
you.
is extremely important.
Okay.
Looking at everyday human interactions, imagine how many times we cast spells on each other with our word. Over time, this interaction has become the worst form of black magic, and we call it gossip.
So now whenever you are gossiping, okay, 99% of the time it will be talking negative things about people. Now, if I am gossiping and I'm talking negative things about people, what do you think it is doing to you? And how many times do you really talk about uplifting things about people? Let me tell you, in my experience, most people are not happy with the success of anyone else. So all my clients, I always tell them maintain a low profile. Because if you maintain a low profile, to nazar nahi lagta hai. People don't talk about you. Things are there, but they are hidden. Okay. Now, when someone goes overboard or someone creates jealousy in someone else's mind, that is when the gossiping starts. And most of the time, gossip is based on untruth. It is not the truth. So unless someone really has direct information about something, it is better not to hear it, nor to say it.
Gossip is black magic at its very worst because it is pure poison. We learn how to gossip by agreement. When we were children, we heard the adults around us gossiping all the time, openly giving their opinions about other people. They even had opinions about people they didn't know. Emotional poison was transferred along with the opinions, and we learned this as the normal way to communicate. Gossiping has become the main form of communication in human society. It has become the way we feel close to each other because it makes us feel better to see someone else feel as badly as we do. There is an old expression that says, misery likes company, and people who are suffering in hell don't want to be alone. Fear and suffering are an important part of the dream of the planet. They are how the dream of the planet keeps us down.
So whenever you are suffering or you are operating in fear, you are depleted, right? Now you can't take action. A person who's joyful, who's happy, can become exuberant, okay? And also you can develop escape velocity because you will transcend, you will transform. Now a person who's depleted will never transform. Very difficult to make them move. But a person who's exuberant will learn more, will do more, will become more aware, will continuously grow. So what is he saying? Fear and suffering are an important part of the dream of the planet. They are how the dream of the planet keeps us down. Okay. Now also when you say something negative about someone, automatically you're putting that person down. So what are you doing? You're pushing yourself up. But the better way to do it is to keep everyone going up. So this is the basic concept of the crab mentality. You'll see if you put 10 crabs into a bucket, none of them will be able to get out. Why? Because as soon as one climbs, the other guy will pull him down. And we are all operating from the crab mentality. We are not wanting people to get lifted up.
Using the analogy of the human mind as a computer, gossip can be compared to a computer virus. A computer virus is a piece of computer language written in the same language all the other codes are written in, but with a harmful intent. This code is inserted into the program of your computer when you least expect it, and most of the time without your awareness. After this code has been introduced, your computer doesn't work quite right, or it doesn't function at all because the codes get so mixed up with so many conflicting messages that it stops producing good results.
So now if you see what is the message like in the media, now they're constantly professing all negative stuff all the time. When do you hear? 99% of the time it is all depleting news. And that is what they are shoving into our brain. So what is happening? We are all being shifted into a fear mentality. Okay. So now it's like a virus. Now you hear something negative, you're going to act on it. And then when you start acting on it, it will create more depletion. So the idea is to have clarity of thought. Don't listen to stuff that will act as a virus in your system. Listen to uplifting stuff, not depleting stuff. Don't allow the virus to inflict you. Okay. Genuinely, we are all spiritual beings. So our internal message is very, very pure. But the external message that we are constantly listening to is a very depleting message. So what does it say here? Or it doesn't function at all because the codes get so mixed up with so many conflicting messages that stop producing good results. So you have to be very, very conscious of what are the messages that you are going to allow into your system. Again, now if you're talking of Ho'oponopono, in that very clearly the statement is, anything that comes into your awareness, you become responsible for. So I have to be very clear as to what I'm going to allow to come into my awareness. Because if it's in my awareness, I become responsible for it. I cannot blame anyone else. We have to take responsibility for ourselves.
Human gossip works exactly the same way. For example, you are beginning a new class with a new teacher, and you have looked forward to it for a long time. On the first day of class, you run into someone who took the class before, who tells you, "Oh, that instructor was such a pompous jerk. He didn't know what he was talking about, and he was a pervert too, so watch out."
So now what is this? This is the opinion of that particular person. Now, if you take that opinion and make it a part of your belief system, you are never going to be happy in that particular class. Okay. Now, there are two aspects. One is information. The other is experience. Now, experience is your truth because you have experienced it. When you are just getting information, it may be the truth, it may not be the truth. So until you experience it, you really don't know what is the truth.
You are immediately imprinted with the word and the emotional code the person had when saying this. But what you are not aware of is his or her motivation in telling you. This person could be angry for failing the class or simply making an assumption based on fears and prejudices. But because you have learned to ingest information like a child, some part of you believes the gossip and you go on to the class.
So you've got this. Now, this was the opinion of that person. And actually, you don't know what the assumptions was. Maybe he didn't do his work and the teacher slapped him. So he became angry with him. It could be anything. That's why observing and knowing for yourself becomes very, very important.
As the teacher speaks, you feel the poison come up inside you, and you don't realize you see the teacher through the eyes of the person who gave you that gossip. Then you start talking to other people in the class about this, and they start to see the teacher in the same way, as a jerk and a pervert. You really hate the class, and soon you decide to drop out. You blame the teacher, but it is gossip that is to blame.
So again, it is the lens in our eyeglasses that we are clouding our judgment by. But if you're operating from the truth, then you listen to that inner voice as to what that inner voice has to actually say.
All of this mess can be caused by one little computer virus. One little piece of misinformation can break down communication between people, causing every person it touches to become infected and contagious to others. Imagine that every single time others gossip to you, they insert a computer virus into your mind, causing you to think a little less clearly every time. Then imagine that in an effort to clean up your own confusion and get some relief from the poison, you gossip and spread these viruses to someone else.
So again, what are you inserting into your own system? Because whatever is in your system, that is what you're going to throw out. So clearing ourselves, being clear with ourselves, aligning ourselves with our truth becomes extremely important if you want clarity and comfort in your life. For lack of a better word, I'm saying comfort in your life.
Now imagine.
Can you repeat this, Bhaiya? Can you repeat this?
I said that whatever is inside you, that is what you're going to throw out. So what you're putting inside you becomes extremely important, because what is your truth, what you're putting inside you needs to align with your truth. And that is when you will be comfortable with yourself. Because if it is not aligned with your truth, automatically you will be uncomfortable. You know there's a feeling, there's a vibration which is there, which is not making you feel correct inside you. And that thing is there within all of us to be able to assess that feeling of comfort. Again, you can use the resilience grid. Where am I when this is happening? If I'm on the right side, I'm comfortable. If I'm on the left side, I'm uncomfortable. So the comfort factor becomes very, very important.
Bhaiya, like if somebody is gossiping, two people are gossiping and you are the part of it. So you have not contributed to it. Still, that is a gossip.
But you're still listening to it, right?
But then sometimes you don't have energy or don't have that wherewithal to fight with it. But you know this is a gossip and it is not.
So then you ignore it, you walk out. You always have the
Okay.
option to step out, right? You have
Okay.
the option
Okay.
to change the subject.
So that's
Okay.
why even in Mahabharat, when Draupadi ka jab Shiraran ho raha tha,
Yeah.
so people who were watching it, they were also like Karan and all.
Absolutely. They were part of the problem. They
Yeah.
should have stepped up, right? They were not.
So you should just walk out of the situation.
No. I'm not saying just walk out of the situation. I'm saying put a strategy in place which will block that transmutation of that virus into your system. You can ask
Okay.
the question, do you really know that this is the truth?
Okay.
You can ask them that question, right?
Okay.
Now, if
Understood.
they are just gossiping from hearsay and they really don't know the truth, then they don't know it. It's as simple as that, right?
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Then
change
you
the
don't need to
topic.
believe it, right?
No. Even if you come to hear it, if you accept it, then it's a problem.
Yeah, if you don't accept it.
Okay.
You don't have to believe it. But if it puts a khatka in your head, then it's a problem. Even a little bit of a khatka in your head creates a problem for you. Okay, so that's why I always telling people when we are going for Vastu rectification, I tell them, now there's one consultant who's come and told them that you need to break this, you need to do this, you need to do this. Okay. Now I come along and tell them, see, you don't need to do it. But now there's a khatka in the head that no, I need to break it. Then I tell them that forget what I've said, you do what that guy has said. Why? Because there's a khatka in your head. Because even if you don't do it, if anything goes off or anything happens, you're going to blame that I didn't do that, that's why it happened. So that's the khatka in the head. Are you getting that? So if I'm listening to something and it puts something in my head, then it's a problem. If I can actually just drop it and not accept it at all, not allow it to invade my belief system, then there is no problem. Shivangla.
बार फ्लैश हो रहा था नेटवर्क बैंडविड्थ इज लो
हम लोग का क्या
हाँ 15 मिनट से फ्लैश हो रहा है
पर यहाँ फ्लैश नहीं किया कि योर बैंडविड्थ इज लो
हाँ पता नहीं अभी भी आ रहा है
मेरा आ रहा है कि इनका आ रहा होगा इनका आ रहा होगा क्योंकि माइन आई हैव टू टेक इन अ हॉटस्पॉट नाउ
अच्छा
थोड़ा हैंड सैनिटाइजर देख के यूज करना सबको ही अभी एक आया है टू आस्क फॉर हीलिंग उसका तो हाथ एकदम कैसा हो गया
मतलब हुआ जी
पूरा रैशेस हो गया है
रैशेस और बॉयल
वो सैनिटाइजर अच्छा नहीं
पूरा लाल हो गया है
आवाज नहीं आ रहा है वो बोल रहे हैं कुछ निकेत कुछ बोल
नहीं ही इज म्यूटेड ही इज नॉट
yeah okay I'm back okay actually speaking when we are looking at energetics okay the hand sanitizer use is actually not a good thing to do but now under the circumstances you don't have an option so jitna kam use karo utna better wherever it's necessary use it there otherwise it's better not to use it in my view
so at home and all you
Just
can still use soap
yeah.
and घर वर में तो you can still use soap and water
yeah so use soap and water that's better than the hand sanitizer
okay
chaliye so where are we now yeah now imagine
घर गया था वो देखने वास्तु फिर वो लोग थोड़ा थोड़ी करने मांग रहे थे
चलिए Shivangla, go ahead. We've lost her.
Bhaiya, how to deal with the people who are having loads of opinion and judgments?
Arey Baba, first clear yourself. Okay. So you having a judgment about them is also a judgment.
That's right.
when we are sitting in a group, bhaiya, so they keep on passing the opinions and judgments. So that I'm asking about that.
So
don't get affected.
No, it's not a question of don't get affected.
I can share something here
please.
With personal experience. You know what happens when you shift from your frequency you automatically, these friends and these acquaintances, you will drop them and you'll get a new bunch of friends.
You're very
Exactly.
right, Kavita. You're very, very right.
Yeah.
So this is
So
what
this is all a process. It happens. It will not
Yeah.
happen all of a sudden, but
Yeah.
slowly there'll be a very slight
It'll
shift,
happen.
and you
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you just yeah.
yeah. So that will
You know,
automatically happen. You will
automatically. Mani nahi karega.
you will not enjoy the company of those people anymore. So
अब अमिताभ
automatically
वो
they
मिलेंगे
will
मेरे
also
से.
not enjoy your company and you will not enjoy their company. So automatically वो shift हो जाएगा.
बदमाश है.
क्या?
Bhaiya, if it is family, if it is family, then that's okay.
Yeah, so even if it is family, when you start raising your frequency and you become the bigger magnet, okay, who's going to get affected? The bigger
Understood.
magnet or the smaller magnet? Now, if I can
Understood.
generate enough equanimity, equilibrium within myself, then what is automatically going to happen is that that other person will not have the power to communicate that much. But we have to develop power within ourselves now. That is the most.
Okay, understood. Understood. Okay.
So Shimangla is gone now.
आज आप लोग दोनों हाइड एंड सीक खेल रहे हैं लग रहा है.
क्या करेगा बताइए.
हम लोग इसको टाइम नहीं देते तो क्या करेगा बेचारा बोलो.
हमारे पास बहुत चारा है. सुनिए हमारे पास बहुत चारा है. नो.
That was a good one.
बेचारा
Good one, Mukul.
कोई वे से नहीं है.
Okay, she's back, I think.
Yeah, she's sharing her screen.
अब ये भी वर्ड है ना कविता दीदी. सोचिए आप क्या बोले.
क्या तो सच्ची बोले तुम दिन भर हम लोग के साथ रह दो तुम शिमंगला के साथ कैसे रहेगा बोलो.
आप क्या माने मतलब आप तो लेफ्ट साइड से बोले ना कि राइट साइड से बोले.
हम लेफ्ट साइड से नहीं, हम एकदम राइट साइड से बोल रहे हैं.
बिल्कुल ही नहीं. बट द इफेक्ट इज ऑन द लेफ्ट साइड ओनली, नॉट ऑन द राइट साइड.
तुमको इफेक्ट
No, we're all
left में पड़ा है.
thinking from the right side, Niket.
हम लोग तीनों जन राइट साइड से बोले हैं.
हाँ, totally.
और हम लोग राइट बोल रहे हैं इसलिए तुमको लेफ्ट लग रहा है.
सवाल ही नहीं है. This is my truth.
देखो इसका बेचारा का अच्छा सी चला.
There's no left and right. Everybody's standing by Sri Mangala because she's a friend.
Shimangla, we can't hear you.
Yes.
Shimangla,
Voice is breaking.
इनसे बोलिए. Don't worry.
we've
The
lost
screen.
her. क्या हो रहा है?
Can you see the screen?
Yeah, we
right
can see
here.
the screen.
Yeah, we can.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah, we can.
Now just wait for half a second more.
Okay.
Half a second is over, Shrimangla.
But seriously, I can't thank them enough for keeping our sanity alive.
So
I
true.
swear, Kavita,
So
so
true.
true.
Really
So
can't
at
thank
least-
them enough.
At least y'all are into it for so many months, years. Think of me.
Months, nahi,
Everything is
years.
so near.
Years.
वही तो मैं बोल रहे हैं, months, years. Think of me.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely new to it, and actually, it's really helped me maintaining my sanity.
तो
Unbelievably.
अभी देखो we are giggling like young babies.
I swear, boy, that's really true.
दोनों जन सोचेंगे पागल हो गए लोग.
नहीं. I think they will love
I'm
it.
back.
They will feel. Yes. Welcome back.
No. What happened that I took the hotspot from my phone. The phone battery went, so I just got out this thing. Okay, I'm ready now.
Okay.
Now imagine.
Now imagine this pattern going on in a never-ending chain between all the humans on Earth. The result is a world full of humans who can only read information through circuits that are clogged with a poisonous, contagious virus. Once again, the poisonous virus is what the Toltecs called the mitote, the chaos of 1,000 different voices all trying to talk at once in the mind.
So let's say you're wanting to, जैसे अपने एक filter है. Now if the filter is dirty, what are you going to get out of it? You're going to get that dirt only. So our minds are totally clogged with all this gossip, all this poison all the time. So naturally what is going to come out is going to be colored by that. So the only way you can transcend is by creating awareness within yourself so that you can transcend it.
Even worse are the black magicians or computer hackers who intentionally spread the virus. Think back to a time when you or someone you know was angry with someone else and desired revenge. In order to seek revenge, you said something to or about that person with the intention of spreading poison and making that person feel bad about him or herself. As children, we do this quite thoughtlessly, but as we grow older, we become much more calculated in our efforts to bring other people down. Then we lie to ourselves and say that person received a just punishment for their wrongdoing.
So again, whenever we say something bad about anyone else, we are first saying it to ourselves. Okay, so whenever I point a finger, there are 3 fingers pointing back at me. The more clarity you will start bringing into your life, the more clarity you are going to start bringing into your thinking, the less the blame game will be there. The less the contagiousness of spreading rumors will be there. You will always attempt to uplift a person, not to pull down a person. You're going to be helping each other to grow, not to deplete each other.
When we see the world through a computer virus, it is easy to justify the cruelest behavior. What we don't see is that misuse of our word is putting us deeper into hell.
So now, whatever you practice, that is what is going to perpetuate in your life. Okay. So if I'm practicing gossiping, that is what will perpetuate. It's like any muscle. The more you use something, the stronger it becomes. So what are you using? We need to become aware of that. So if I'm using gossiping, if I'm constantly saying bad things about people, then I'm constantly going to perpetuate that. If I'm constantly saying good things about people, I'm saying uplifting things about people, I'm saying what I genuinely mean, then that is what I'm going to perpetuate in my life. And I'm naturally going to be more and more uplifting. I think we have to stop now. Okay, so we are on page 42. Unless you all want to cover, actually we won't be able to finish this, I doubt it. Chalo, so we'll stop here. Anything, anyone?
Yeah, so first agreement is to be impeccable with words.
Yeah, that is what it seems here.
Okay.
So what are you thinking? What are you saying? Okay, becomes extremely important.
All right. Thank you, Bhaiya. Thank you, Ram.
Okay, chali Ram Ram. See you all for
3:45
meditation.
we have.
Yeah, 3:45.
See you.
See you all for meditation.
Thank you. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Sumangla. Ram
Yeah.
Ram.
Ram Ram.
Ram Ram.